RedZoneSports.bet, the British home of American sports.
Hello and welcome to the SportsHeads, the #1 show for NFL fans in the UK. I'm Simon Millen from Lindy Sports, and we're going to go through a few of the news items this week ahead of week 13 of the NFL season. With me in the studio, I'm pleased to say, we have Cecil Martin, former fullback for the Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Oakland Raiders. And to my extreme left on this trips formation is Matt Phillips from 40yardscouting.com. It's a great website. We're glad to have you here, Matt. Thanks for being here. Obviously, the biggest topic of this week, it can only be one thing. Eli Manning, 210 games starting streak. He's got no offensive line, no running game, no receivers. The Giants are 2-9.
Can we talk about what he does have? It don't sound like he got a whole lot.
He doesn't have a job, and he's been benched for Geno Smith.
Yeah, you know, it's all you Giant fans have just gotta be hurting. Number one, they're hurting because the season is terrible. But number two, this guy has been a staple of that organization, that franchise, for 14 years. And the thing that gets me isn't the benching, but the fact that the statement was actually made that it's possible he may not even dress. Now, how do you go from leading the team to not even dressing? Yeah. And there's a lot more issues on that team than just the performance of the quarterback, because it is the ultimate team game, but it goes downhill. So it's interesting.
I totally agree with you. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, where's the season going anyway? It's not like you're moving on from Eli Manning and then saying, okay, let's have a look at the future. Because that's been the argument, that's been kind of the narrative. Yeah. But they're not, because they're moving in Geno Smith. Davis Webb is the rookie they drafted from Cal. You know, he's just a scout team quarterback. He's not getting the reps. They're not putting him in to see what they got for the future. So I don't agree with that view.
It's a head-scratching decision from Ben McAdoo. Yeah. I'm aghast. I'm absolutely astonished that it's come to this.
But I was going to say, give you a little insight also. I mean, in an NFL locker room, you know, when things are going great, even those little things that may not seem all that good, it's not that bad either. But when things are the way it is in the Giants organization,
it's unraveled quickly, hasn't it?
Everything gets bad. And unless you have a culture where there's harmony and there's more togetherness, then there's going to be division. And I think there was a lot of division between Eli Manning and Coach McAdoo. And it probably got to the point that McAdoo wanted to take a stand and he wanted to make a statement. And it may have also been a protectionist type of a statement as well, kind of to take the light off of him and say, I'm going to make this controversial move because I feel like it's the right thing, and I feel like that's why we're not winning. And so when you start looking at the organization and what may be happening on the inside that we don't see, they're all human beings. And it's an interesting one to think about.
Well, I'm going to hit you with this.
Go ahead, hit me, man. Don't hit me too hard, though.
You take it. You take it. Look, the issue I have with Ben McAdoo is the fact that you've had Odell Beckham Jr. basically not being disciplined throughout the season by McAdoo, and yet constantly he's been having a go at Eli Manning. I mean, this guy has won the organisation 2 Super Bowls. He's done everything that's asked for him. He's done it in a classy way. He's never spoken out against the management. He's lost Tom Coughlin, and the Giants were really classless in the way they got rid of Tom Coughlin as well. It's not the first time they've done something really, really classless, and now they're doing it again to Eli Manning. The guy deserves better. He's given everything for this organisation. He should be allowed to go on his own terms. Yes. I'm absolutely astonished.
Now, I'm not going to criticize the decision. I'm going to criticize the way in which they did it and the timing in which they did it. And I think that's what you were alluding to as well, right?
Yeah, at least let him finish the season off. You know, if there's, obviously in his mind he wants to move on. But it's different if you're making a statement. If you're moving on because you want to give the rookie a go, you're working for 2018.
We get that.
But
but Ben McAdoo
not happening here,
Ben McAdoo knows he's not going to have a job at the end of the season.
No.
I just wonder, I mean, you can look at it from a devil's advocate position and sort of say, maybe it's the Steve Tisch, maybe it's Mara making this decision and saying to McAdoo, you're going to have to do this because we're going to have to move on from Manning. We're looking to draft a quarterback. you're going to do the dirty work. Oh, by the way, you're not going to be here next season either.
Well, if you go back to the top of the New York Giants organisation, none of those guys, apart from the owners, know if they're going to be there next season. So they're not thinking about next year either.
Jerry Reese is extremely lucky to have a job. I'll tell you that, because he wouldn't have been in a job if it hadn't have been for Eli Manning.
The general manager, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as we look at those Giants, they're not doing that well. I hope you New York Giant fans, everything's going to be all right. But there's a whole bunch of other teams, a whole bunch more going on, right?
Yeah, let's talk about New York. I mean, Matt is a Kansas City fan. We've got you Kansas City Chiefs going off to the New York Jets at the weekend. What is going on with Kansas City? What is going on with your boys, Matt?
Well, I think after the last sort of 4 years of, basically winning most weeks, turning around a franchise that was, my early years as a fan was consistently 4-12 every year, and Andy Reid's come in, Alex Smith's come in, and turned the whole thing around. I just feel that even when we were 5-0, there's just something missing. There was no real identity. We had the big plays with Hill. Obviously, Alex Smith hitting in with the long, deep passes. We're scoring lots of points, 31 points a game. Maybe as a purist, I still was concerned. There's something not quite right. The way the Chiefs are built and this roster's built is for the defense to win.
Yeah.
Okay, the defense wins us games, whether that's through Justin Houston having pressure on the quarterback, and then obviously that feeds into the corners and into the secondary, which have been pretty punishing on teams in the last few years. But that wasn't happening when we were 5-0, and so there's always that question mark that, in my mind, that we were papering over the cracks. And as soon as we saw on Sunday with the Bills sort of dropping back into soft zone and sort of narrowing the field again, suddenly the onus is on Alex Smith again, and you're asking him to do something he's not. He's not got the strongest arm. He's not an anticipatory thrower. So by making everything play in front of you like the Bills did, you're accentuating the weaknesses of Smith, and then they went away from the run game, which seems to be happening more and more. As you see the carries that Kareem Hunt's getting. Yeah. Pass protection's fine, but run blocking is pretty poor. So if you've got no run game to punish the soft zone coverage, then everybody knows what's coming.
I mean, you've been coming out of the eye a lot in the last couple of seasons, and that's not necessarily an Andy Reid type staple. And also, I think the other important thing to say is Eric Berry's loss was massively huge. I mean, we said that's massively huge. That's a thing. Massively huge. I think that's a real problem for them, and it's obviously, we said at the start of the season it was going to come back to bite them. I think it's possibly that is the case. Cecil, what about Andy Reid's schematics?
Well, I'm not even going to speak to schematics, because Andy Reid has already proven through a long career of winning a lot of football games that his schematics is good. So, and it's like my man Kevin Cater used to always say, rest his soul, hey, players still got to play. No matter what kind of coach I am, the players still got to play, right? So I think that because they've had a lot of success at times during the regular season, and then that 5-game winning streak, I think the players began to kind of rest on their laurels a little bit. Maybe not doing the little things as much as they were doing them before. Maybe not being as fanatical about the process of each and every week of not only what you got to do, but the little things you need to do in order to make what you got to do within that process to really reap the results that you want. Because once you begin to take away some of those little things that you're not doing throughout the week because you're winning, maybe I'm not watching as much film as I did because we done won 5 in a row. All I'm saying is that at the end of the day, a lot of times the players have to take ownership of what they're doing on the football field. And I know it's easy for us as analysts to look, and because we're looking at just what the product is being provided, and it all goes downhill in life, in everything. So we start with those coaches, don't we? But for me as a player, I got to look at what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing. I got to say, these guys are not playing the same brand of football they were playing. And the head coach can't play the brand of football for you. They can only put you in a position to play the brand of football that you need to win.
That's the thing that spoke volumes to me watching the Chiefs in recent weeks, is both on offense and defense. It was always they'd give 100%. They play tough. They play 1,000 miles an hour. Just not seeing that. And to me, it goes to the trenches. Alex Smith will get the blame. Andy Reid would get the blame for being exotic in college type concepts. When you watch the game, it's the defensive line and the offensive line are playing soft, and that is the one thing that I know that most Chiefs fans are annoyed about right now. It's not so much the wins and losses. It's just like, not contacting the running back or Tyrod Taylor until he's 10 yards down the field and just ghosting through. Those are the kind of things that are missing. The effort is not quite there. And as Cecil was saying, there is that feeling that they're resting on their laurels.
Does a quarterback change to Patrick Mahomes make any difference?
No.
The injection, and what's happening with Chris Conley, my man crush?
Chris Conley's out for the season, which is a big miss. They
just don't stretch the field anymore.
No, they just got Albert Wilson back. Albert Wilson and Chris Conley take away the coverage from the likes of Travis Kelce. Obviously, Tyreek Hill's now getting double teamed quite often. You take those guys away, they're kind of the pressure valves of Alex Smith. And Chris Conley, a lot of players in the NFL, they're not missed until they've gone.
Yeah, and he stretches the field, and it makes so much things easier over the middle for Kelce.
He does.
It's not a schematic thing. It's basically a personnel thing at the moment.
I think there's 1,000 things that go into why the Chiefs are struggling at the moment, and I think Cecil will know this more than me. When you're winning, everything's rosy. I'm not a massive fan of starting off 5-0 because you see it so often. The teams don't even make the playoffs.
That's like his last year.
Yeah, as soon as you lose a game, then you start seeing the body language, the heavy shoulders, and Alex Smith looks like he's walking around with heavy shoulders. He's not really a very sort of confident guy. So, but definitely in terms of Patrick Mahomes, no, that's the future. He wasn't drafted to play this year. He's only a scout team quarterback. He's not getting the reps. If, like us, when we're scouting, like myself, the college game, Patrick Mahomes, you don't want to do away with his skill set, but footwork, mechanics have to be broken down again. And there's no one better than Andy Reid to do that. But it's a project. He will be great in the future. I've got no doubts about that at all. But
they make the playoffs?
I think we're going to back our way into the playoffs. But it's about getting that win. I thought it would come against the Bills. It's about getting that ugly win. Yeah. No frills. Win by 3. Let's get going again. Until they get that, then it's just going to kind of snowball.
Well, they got two teams just kind of nipping at them, the Oakland Raiders and the LA, the LA team, Chargers. And so they have to play those two teams after this. So I see them
coming up now.
So I'm going to go out on the limb with my man Andy Reid. I got you, Andy. Look at here. They're gonna beat the Jets. They're gonna beat the Chargers, and they're gonna beat the Oakland Raiders. And they're gonna roll up in there. Hold on, but don't be getting mad at me, y'all Charger and LA Charger, all y'all fans out there. Y'all don't get mad. But there's some other stuff happening in the league too, right?
There is. Julio Jones. Let's talk about Julio Jones. 250-yard plus. I mean, he's the only receiver. How do you do that? 3 times. He's the only receiver who's done more than twice to go 250 yards in a receiving season. Who's the best receiver you've ever seen, Cecil?
I mean, I gotta say Jerry Rice because I played with Jerry Rice. I was with him at the Oakland Raiders. But I mean, Julio Jones. It's like, is anybody else playing in the game? Like the other receivers over there, like
Antonio Brown,
can I get a ball?
Yeah.
Can I get a ball? I mean, what do you got? 4 people on Julio. He's still catching balls.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, it doesn't matter who he's catching the ball from as well. You see that Mohamed Sanu throws comes out of the backfield and throws a touchdown pass.
What's funny is last game he was averaging like 21 yards every time he catches the ball. Like who does that?
Yeah.
Who does that? I mean, obviously he's a physical specimen, but what he's done since he got into the NFL out of Alabama is he's really just honed his game, crisp routes, reading defenses, knowing when to stop, when to keep going. He's created that cohesive nature with his quarterback, and they've grown together. I mean, obviously Julio's taken it to a whole nother level, but Jerry was the best that I played with.
Who's the best receiver you've seen, Matt?
Well, being a fan from the late 80s and playing the game then, Jerry Rice, the same. Because he was the only guy you watched back then. Jerry Rice, especially on the UK coverage, you get those amazing NFL film shots with the ball in slow motion in the air and Jerry Rice coming down with it. And Jerry Rice is one of those guys that kind of, I was a wide receiver myself, and he kind of gave me that fire to play the game. You just see a guy when you're young, that's your superhero.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to find anyone else.
Cecil's my superhero.
But I appreciate that. Hey, but I don't want to take nothing away from my man, Tim Brown out there. There was so many great receivers. I mean, you asked for the best, but I got to mention Tim.
I kind of put you on the spot there.
But Tim was there at the Oakland Raiders also. But aside from all that, Julio's a beast. Unbelievable what he's doing in the NFL right now.
One of the superstars of the game.
Man.
I'm going to go down as one of the superstars of the game. Another superstar, maybe, Frank Gore, sparked to life. 62 yards, touchdown for Indianapolis. This guy just keeps going and going. He hasn't missed a game since December 2010. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes, 100%. He's in the top 15 in all time.
Yeah,
top seven
all-time running backs.
There you go.
I think it's top 7, top 8. The guys above him are all Hall of Famers. The 2 guys below him are all Hall of Famers. I'm just throwing you on the spot, just seeing if you knew.
Number seven. I knew he was up there, but I didn't realize he was there. You know what? Because he's kind of had a quiet, steady career. When you talk about the durability, hasn't missed a game.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to think of him being in the top 10. I mean, you're saying he's 7, top 10. He's done it kind of quietly with not a whole lot of flash and dash. Just give me the ball, let me do what I do, and I will do it week in and week out. And sometimes it'll be up and sometimes it'll be down, but I promise you this, I'll give you more ups than downs. And that's what he's done.
Yeah. I mean, naturally, his yards per carry are falling away just slightly. You know, that's no shame, you know, considering his career. But he's still, the thing that amazes me with him is he's still getting 16, 17 carries average.
Durable.
It's just amazing for his age. You know, he's kept himself tip-top condition. He's still that guy that.
I mean, how old is he? 52 years old?
Something like that.
Is he 52?
Yeah.
I
think he's lying about his
There's
age.
half a chance for you, Cecil. There's still half a chance for you, buddy.
But he's got to be a Hall of Famer for me. I mean, you know, his highest yards per carry average was 5 yards.
I think
he's still 3.5
Oh,
yards
here's
per
a
carry
question.
now. So.
Here's a question. Maybe you would know. Maybe you know this. How many in that top 6 have Super Bowl rings?
Ooh.
You know, and I don't know if we judge running backs in the same way we judge quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame entry kind of a thing, right?
4 off the top of my head.
4? Okay. So that's interesting. I don't think that'll hurt him, you know, but it's just an interesting thought, right?
I think he's been pivotal in the game, you know, in the last, since 2005.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame first ballot. We're all agreed, are we?
Yeah, done.
Absolutely.
Done.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they need to give us a vote. I mean, if y'all watching this, you know, Hall of Fame officials, us 3, we got you.
Yeah, Jim Schwartz, even your boys, Philadelphia. They're just got the best record in the league, 10-1. They've had a soft schedule, admittedly. Now, no receivers had 100-yard gain on them since week 4, I think it is. They haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher. Surely he's got to be one of the top guys for a coaching candidate's job to go, you know, to take it as a head coach. Who else, in your opinion, would be from the coordinator ranks, who's going to go in next year as a head coach? Because there are going to be a few vacancies, starting with New York.
You know what's interesting is, and I think as a player, I don't look at the whole coaching carousel in the same way. And because I've been out of the game for a little while, I've finally began enjoying watching football and not you know, analytically looking at every little thing, and then getting a chance to hang out and do shows like this, you know, has definitely brought a lot to my experience and being a part of the game continually. So I don't look at that, you know, and the reason I don't look at it also, because when your team, and I'm going to say Eagles are my team, are playing the way they're playing, you're thinking about not just the next game, but what can they continue to do to keep the foot on the pedal so they can get into the playoffs, which they're going to get into the playoffs, but then get to the Super Bowl and win, you know? So, and I will say this, Coach Peterson, who was a quarterback with me at the Eagles when I got there. I thought he was a coach when I walked in the room because I thought he was like kind of a little bit older.
Offensive coordinator at the Chiefs as well.
Yeah,
we still miss him.
Yeah, but he learned his stuff in Miami. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I think that if he treats his coaches right, the way Andy treated his coaches, which meant not a lot of guys like left. I mean, you know, Andy had a good stretch there where his coordinator stuck with him, and we had great seasons. We were winning NFC East championships. We were winning NFC. Well, we were getting to the NFC championship game to get to the Super Bowl, and coordinators were sticking around. So if he's applying those same types of loyalty, I take care of you type stuff that Andy Reid did, I believe, you know, it's not too many.
Stay. Well, I mean, you made a great point. I mean, you look at Matt Patricia and you look at Josh McDaniels down in, and I think Josh probably wants another crack at an NFL coaching job because he, you know, didn't do particularly well in Denver, but you know, he's in the prime position. They're going to the New England Patriots are going to the playoffs every year. They still have Brady playing at an incredibly high level. Why would you want to go anywhere while all the pieces are in place? And Belichick looks after his.
Collect your rings, man. Collect your rings, Josh.
So I think Patricia is totally overrated.
Do you?
I do, because I look at the New England defense, and he's kind of profiting off from Tom Brady being on the roster. I mean, number 20 again in the country against the rush, and number 22 against the pass.
But he does have an incredibly impressive beard.
He does. He wins the bid. If that's on his CV, then,
I think it's a really important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's what you want. Maybe in Wisconsin or something.
All right, where would we go then? I mean, Jim Bob Cooter possibly.
I think
Detroit. I think for me, I mean, the one top coaching candidate, and I know he went. He was going to be in he was invited by Chip Kelly to be in San Francisco. That's Mike Vrabel. He's at the right age. He's 43 now, 44, something like that.
Yeah. I like
and he turned that down. So
Yeah.
I think he's primed. He's down at the Texans at the moment. They're doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's primed to be one of the top coaches. He's obviously from that Belichick tree as well.
Yeah.
It's.
I think Dave
Vrabel's got to be on the shortlist.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a name that's constantly mentioned in head coaching circles is Dave Toob, the special teams coach in Kansas City.
There's a precedent though, isn't it? They don't always take special teams coaches.
No, but he's been absolutely fantastic for the Chiefs. Chiefs have had one of the best special teams despite their struggles over the last few years.
All right, we talked about head coaches that leave you sort of scratching your head. Obviously, Ben McAdoo is a prime example. Ben McAdoo me a favour, as he's known over in these parts. A couple of strange coaching decisions last week. John Fox decided to take a timeout on when Chicago were at their own 1 yard line and to take a delay of game, to stop taking a delay of game penalty, which would have backed them up at least half a yard. Which was a really strange decision. Sean McDermott as well, benching Tyrod Taylor. That was a strange one. Any head coaches that leave you scratching your head?
I think McDermott has to be the luckiest guy alive this week. I mean, he was just a joke.
When you say luckiest or unluckiest?
I think he was. Yeah, but you can see it both ways, couldn't you? But the first thing I wrote down this week was McDermott. I mean, to throw a rookie under the bus. And to bench a quarterback who's been playing, Tyrod Taylor's a game manager, as it were, but that's what you want, and he gives you enough to win. It's not like he's been struggling. And then to put Nate Peterman in there, who I did like coming out of it quite a bit, but he's just not quite ready. He was always going to be a bit of a developmental prospect. Yeah. But to just ship him in there, not adjust the playbook to what Nate Peterman can do. Just to put square pegs into round holes, let him go out there and just struggle and then bench him. I just think it's like, first of all, you've ruined potentially your future, but also what have you done to your starting quarterback? It's not like he was really struggling, and we saw that this weekend. That Tyrod Taylor is Tyrod Taylor. Yeah. It's a solid NFL quarterback.
I think it's interesting because I feel like he was the most unlucky coach last week because look. Again, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Sure. And I think what we can all agree with is that the Buffalo Bills offensive line, it's not like it's the greatest offensive line in the world. So Tyrod was having to use his legs a little bit more than he needed to. And maybe he wasn't, catching some reads and maybe overthrowing a little bit, but he was still solid enough for the team. So off of that, with how the team is doing, what's happening in the locker room, what's happening in the meeting rooms, and was the sitting down more of, I'm going to sit you down to humble you so I can bring you back up. You see what I mean? Yeah, and that's why I call it the most unlucky, because maybe it was, let me sit you and humble you so I can bring you back up. And then all of a sudden, he goes out there and throws some high interceptions. And you're like, oh my gosh. and Tyrod was sitting over there on the side. He was sitting over on the bench like this.
But he's a pro. He's come back and he's done the job.
Don't call me. No, coach. No, you already sat me down.
The point is, he's come back. He's been a professional. He's sat. He's upset about it, and as you would be. But even sort of the best head coaches in the world make some strange decisions. Yeah. And touching on that point,
but it's strange for us, though. You see what I'm saying? It's strange. That's why I was trying to kind of put it in the viewer's mind.
So we don't have all the information, do we?
Yes.
Sometimes I'll make a comment on my team. Then I'm thinking, well, I'm not there Monday to Friday.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Even the best head coaches make some strange decisions.
Oh, but that's true.
Belichick, 18-point lead. Tom Brady's been hit roughly about 8 times against Miami. He's been sacked 24 times in 11 games, which, according to my reckoning, makes him on par for about 35 sacks a season, which would be his 3rd worst total in sacks. Why would you not bench him? When you've virtually won the division anyway, you've got an 18-point lead. Why would you not bench Tom Brady? Just bring him on.
It's a tough one. I could both support and go against that one. So I'm going to lean to, based on how old Tom is, and based on, well, who's the backup? Who's the backup?
That's a good question.
No. See, there's some variables in here, some X factors that we must get out there.
It's not Garoppolo anymore. It's Hoyer, isn't it?
Hoyer, he's come back from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Who knows the system? Been in there 3 years before he went to San Francisco.
Yeah, you got to sit that
Very
man
capable player, throws a good ball, no problem with that.
But if we do know anything about Belichick, he's about winning. Now, maybe his want to win goes above his logic of how old is my quarterback and how many times he's been hit. But if that's who he is, and he has what he has because that's who he is, well, then maybe it's not a hair scratcher, but it can be. You know,
I think the interesting thing to read this week is the fact that Tom Brady has been sacked the most or hit the most in the league once again this season.
Really?
So with that in mind, it just shows you what ultimate competitor and also how tough the guy is.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and that gets lost in the mix, doesn't it?
It does. So, but also he's been there, hasn't he? He doesn't want to give the number. It's not his job to do.
Who's he chasing? He's not chasing anybody. You know, you
Exactly,
look at these. You look at these great quarterbacks. You look like the likes of Marino was chasing.
Chasing his legacy, though.
Yeah,
he's
he is
chasing his legacy.
But why would you? You've already got that legacy. He's the top of the pile
Because of what it
He's
makes,
not chasing Peyton Manning anymore.
Because of what it made of him to get there. You see what I'm saying? So you say why, and I flip the script on you, and I say you ask why. The answer to that is
I see it.
It's because it's what it made of him to be where he's at. So maybe the real question is, maybe Belichick respects him so much, he said, hey,
you do
let me
what
get
you
you
want
out
to
of
do.
there, man, because they beating you up pretty good.
If you think about his early historic Michigan and the draft, he's still got that chip on his shoulder, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
He doesn't-
yeah.
he
doesn't
Everyone's
let it-
seen that video.
Exactly.
Him running that 40-yard dash.
Yeah, that's great. Right, respect. We're talking about respect.
Absolutely.
Respect. We've got a lot of respect
All
for you
respect.
guys.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap up this show now. Matt Phillips from 40yardscouting.com, Cecil Martin from various teams around the league.
But part of this team. And a few
it's
other
the
teams.
only team that matters.
Okay, badges.
We are the Sports Heads. We shall see you again soon. That has been the playbook for Week 13. Take care. See you again.
RedZoneSports.bet, the British home of American sports.